Morning, y'all. I am headed to the RE's office. I am so late. And I'm so tired. But I want to talk to you not about the RE's office, because this is a Dating While TTC episode. And this time I have a question. I don't have a person, but I have a question. The question is, are my standards too high? So, I was hanging out on a dating site the other day. And I was contacted by a guy that I met before. And we went out on one date. And no more dates after that. But prior to that date, we had a lot of conversation, talked on the phone for hours. There was definitely a connection. We went out on a date. We had a good time. He just never made a move for a second date. Well, to my standards, okay? What he was trying to do instead was ask me if he could come to my place to hang out. You know, this was like before Netflix and chill. So, you know, I only went out on one date with you. I don't care how many times how long we spent on the phone. You know, I'm not, you know, when I was younger, I had no qualms about this, right? No qualms about inviting a guy to my place to just hang out. And the problem with that is that started to become the standard date, where you just come and hang out at my crib. We watch TV, play video games, or whatever, and we never like go out on actual dates. So I decided that in my process, like, this wasn't something I was going to entertain too early, especially with dating online, because it's kind of like, if we only make it to one date, like, I have a hard enough time making it to the second date, right? If we only go to one date, like, I don't need the whole world of internet dating knowing where I live after one date. So, you know, for me, I feel like, you know, maybe after 3 dates, you know, you can come to my place and hang out, instead of going out somewhere, or I can go to your place. You know, I don't even want to go to your place until we've been out a few times, you know. So anyway, you know, that's just my take on it. So he messaged me. He said, you know, I see you still looking good, blah blah. And then, you know, we asked each other how we doing. Okay, doing good. All right. And he's like, I'm surprised you're not married yet. So my response to that, quite honestly, was, I'm not sure that I'm even the marrying kind. Like, the guys I meet, they don't want to marry me. They just want to bed me. They want to marry other people. And his response to that was, well, I know why you're not married. I met you. And I'm like, okay, well, do tell. And he's like, well, you're not going to get mad? No, say your piece. And he said, you know, some people have standards, but your standards are like Superman high. Okay. Well, what is your perception of my standards? He didn't really respond to that. And I said, what is it that you think I'm requiring? And his response was late to that, but he said everything. And then I asked him, why does he think we stopped talking? And once he said everything to my standards, I'm like, nah, you gotta be a little bit more specific than everything. And then he said, well, I'm gonna give you an example. We was talking, we was vibing, I really liked you, I thought we had a connection, we went out, everything was cool. And I was asking to come spend time with you at your place, and you were like, no. And then I guess we stopped talking for a while. And actually what he said is, then I called you one day, you told me you met somebody else and that he was on his way over. So that was like a slap in the face to me, because you would never invite me over. And I'm just trying to think, like, that's not even like me to tell another dude that I got a dude coming over. Like, no. I mean, the only way I would do that is if I was like completely annoyed with you and I really wanted you to like be going. That's the only way I would even speak about another guy. I would say I got plans or I have company. I wouldn't say that it was another guy or that I met somebody or whatever, unless that guy was like my boyfriend. And I haven't had too many of those, so I don't think. And so basically I told him that I'm not sure of the timing, but depending on the timing, that if, first of all, that doesn't even sound like me that I would say something like that. But if that was something that I would have said, there's only one guy that I would have said that about. And that point in time, my sister had been murdered. I was going through a depression. And at that point in time, I was just looking for a distraction. I wasn't even looking to build a relationship. And not to mention, this guy was somebody that I knew from work. So it's a different situation than some random that I met online. So anyway, I mean, that's neither here nor there. And I explained that to him. And then he was just like, well, why? I said, well, to be honest, we only went out on one date. Like, I'm not, like, it's maybe after, like, maybe 3 dates. And he was like, well, why after 3 dates? That sounds like, when women say they don't want to have, sex until 90 days. And you ask them why, and they say because that's how long it takes to get to know somebody. Well, to be honest, that's how long it takes for people to reveal themselves. I wouldn't say that that's how long it takes to get to know someone. It takes a lifetime to get to know someone. Secondly, I just explained to you why, early in the video, I just explained why I would do maybe after 3 dates. But, I mean, 3 dates is not in stone. But, I mean, definitely not before 3 dates. Might be more than 3 dates before I would entertain you Netflix and chilling, at my crib. Because the experience that I've had with that is that, all of a sudden that becomes the place to be. It's a cheap date for them. They get to your place, wherever. You provide the Netflix, you provide the chill, you provide the food, the AC or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they get to rub on your booty. So, it's a win-win situation for them. Not so much for me. So, I'm like, I can't. I can't. And then he hit me with the, oh, well, why would you assume that if I come to your place one time, then that's what it's going to be all the time? Well, you didn't ask me out anywhere else. You just repeatedly asked to come hang out at my place. You didn't say, oh, well, you want to go check out this movie or this free jazz festival in the park, or, let's go take a walk around Lake Eola, or, like, you didn't suggest anything else. So what was I supposed to think? And quite honestly, this particular guy, when I met him, since my standards are so high, he didn't even have a car. And Orlando ain't the kind of city to be in when you don't have a vehicle. And I'm not sure he really had like a job at the time. I know maybe he had a job, but he definitely didn't have a car, because we went to the movies and his homeboy dropped him off for the movies, and he was trying to get me to commit to taking him home. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. First of all, it's a first date. It's an inconvenience to me, and I don't even know if I'm going to like you. So why would I commit? I think you should make sure you have a ride home, just in case. Bet it don't go well. And he took a taxi home that night. You know, we hung out in my car while he waited for the taxi or whatever. But, you know, he took a taxi home, and I let him pick the theater. The theater was near his neighborhood, so he didn't have to travel too far. So I did all the traveling. I'm the one with the vehicle. I came to your side of town, okay, 30 minutes away from where I live. And my standards are too high. If my standards were Superman high, dude, we would have never had a first date. I don't know. What y'all think about this, ladies? I think this is something guys like to rely on when you don't want them. You know? When you don't want them, or you're not interested in them, or, you know, they just don't have it together, not even close to you having it together, that they like to say your standards are too high. Or if you've been single too long, like I had the nail technician at the nail salon say, oh, I'm too picky. Oh, you're not married? Oh, you're too picky. Wait, what? You don't know me? Because I'm single and been single a long time, I'm too picky? Yeah, maybe I need to be, because it's a lot of trash out here. You know what I mean? It's a lot of trash, a lot of people looking to take advantage, and I'm not here to be taken advantage of. And you know what's interesting about this conversation is he told me in talking to me or whatever, he thought I was stuck up. But then when we hung out on our first date, he realized I was a real cool, down-to-earth person. But what gave you the impression that I was stuck up? The fact that I'm independent, that I got a job, that I own my own house, that I have my own car, that I can do for myself and don't need no dude. I'm all of a sudden stuck because I got an education. I'm all of a sudden stuck up. What indication did you have? But I couldn't have been that stuck up because you were still trying to go out on a date. Confusing, completely confusing. And these are kind of like the mixed messages, because, you know, I try really hard to, you know, take constructive criticism and to take feedback, but I think a lot of the feedback that comes back from guys is like bitterness. Bitterness over me just not being all that interested in them for whatever reason, and they don't understand what made me not interested in them. Well, the fact that you go on one date and now all of a sudden you just want to chill in my crib. You didn't offer me to come to your place. Oh wait, you don't have a place by yourself. You don't have no privacy over there, so that's why you're not asking me to come to your place. But my standards are too high. That's not the first time I've heard that from a guy. Your standards are too high. That's why you're single. Okay. Well, if my standards are too high, then I guess I'm just going to have to be single, because I went on dates with some not so great candidates, trying to not be superficial, trying not to, you know, be too uptight or stuck up, as this guy was saying. But I can't afford to go much lower. If I go any lower, I'm pretty much keeping a man, and that's the last thing I want to do, is keep a man. So I mean, keep him as in be paying all the bills. You know, he ain't got no job, he laying up on my couch watching Sports Center while I'm working hard. You know, no. You know, and it's funny because I recently saw the Tyler Perry Acrimony movie, and I mean 20 years she worked hard while this man had no job, didn't contribute. I mean, he picked up a job here and there, but he didn't really contribute to the household. He was not being the head of his household, and I don't know that I could do that, to be honest. I mean, she loved him. You know, I don't know that I could do 20 years like that. I mean, yeah, you want to tinker with your idea, but that needs to be your part-time gig, because that ain't paying the bills. I'm working 2 jobs so you can play around with your toy for 20 years. I can't do that. All right, I'm here at the doctor. I'm incredibly late. What do you think? Thumbs up, comments. Let me know what you think about this. Crazy, right? Bye, ladies.